The year is 2025. It is the 7th of February. The Trump administration has been in power for only 18 days. And now a dark shadow hangs over the future of democracy, not just in the United States, but across the world. This video is dark, and while it should frighten you, it is also a warning that no matter where you are, this shadow will reach out and eventually touch your life. The shadow I am speaking about takes the form of Project 2025, a meticulously crafted plan to dismantle democratic institutions and consolidate power into the hands of a select chosen few. At its heart lies a 900-page document, the Mandate for Leadership, a conservative Christian, white male agenda for a blueprint to gain authoritarian rule while disguised as a policy platform. It is the culmination of years of work by the Heritage Foundation, a powerful conservative think tank with deep ties to the Republican Party. It is now, however, no longer content with influencing policy from the sidelines. Project 2025 represents a bold and dangerous plan to seize the reins of power entirely. The architects of this plan are not fringe figures. They are seasoned political operatives, wealthy donors, and ideologues who have spent literally years waiting for their moment. Figures like Stephen Miller, known for his hardline immigration stance during Trump's first administration, and John McEntee, a former Trump aide who oversaw a campaign of loyalty tests within that government. And then there is Russ Vought, who helped shape conservative fiscal policies and expand executive powers. These are just a few of the key players in this effort. Their goal is very clear. It is to transform the United States from a state of democracy into a nation where those in power remain largely unchecked. An America where dissent is silenced and civil liberties are dismantled, where the government serves Christian nationalists and far-right interests, where there is one rule of law under an authoritarian dictatorship. This danger cannot be overstated. It is not merely a set of policy proposals. It is a roadmap for the hostile takeover of American democracy, the blueprint for authoritarian rule. And this is not hyperbole. It is a clear and present danger, and one being put into action as I speak. Getting a full understanding of the nature of this threat is the first step in mobilizing the resistance needed to combat it. The future of democracy, both in the United States and beyond, depends on it. This mandate for leadership is not simply a collection of policy ideas. It is a meticulously crafted and well-thought-out blueprint for dismantling democratic norms and consolidating power. Its success relies on the projection of a distrust of the democratic government and fueling of the deep state myth, that one that says the federal bureaucracy is a den of unelected elites working against the interests of the American people. This could not be further from the truth. This distrust has now been weaponized and is being used to justify the wholesale purge of government officials deemed insufficiently loyal to the project's aims. This purge, euphemistically referred to as Schedule F in the 900-page document, is designed to replace career civil servants with political loyalists. These loyalists, who will be vetted for their ideological purity, will be installed across all levels of government, ensuring that every agency and federal department operates without questioning policies. Let's be clear, this is not simply about changing policies. It's about dismantling the infrastructure of government accountability and replacing it with a system of unquestioning obedience. It is not about making government accountable. It's about making it obedient to a single political ideology. Project 2025 goes beyond simply controlling the levers of government. It seeks to reshape the very institutions that hold democratic power in check. The judiciary, long considered a bulwark against executive overreach, is a prime target. The plan calls for packing the courts with conservative judges, chosen not for their legal expertise, but for their willingness to rubber stamp this agenda. This politicization of the justice system is a hallmark of authoritarian regimes, a way to neutralize any potential legal challenges to the consolidation of power. This mandate for leadership also sets its sights on rolling back decades of progress on civil rights, environmental protections, the LGBTQ plus community, reproductive freedoms, and your voting rights. These are all now on the chopping block as they are obstacles to the project's vision of a traditional Christian white male America. It's about imposing a narrow and exclusionary ideology, one that seeks to turn back the clock on social progress. And we are seeing this start to take shape after only 18 days of this administration. Project 2025's most insidious aspect lies in its approach, dismantling American democracy from within, using the institutions that are meant to safeguard it as the tools for its destruction. The plan hinges on exploiting existing vulnerabilities in the system, stretching the limits of executive power, and leveraging the judiciary to legitimize its actions. This is not a brute force takeover, it is rather a death by a thousand cuts, the slow erosion and attack on democratic norms, and is specifically designed to be difficult to counter. Central to this strategy is the expansion of presidential power. The mandate for leadership envisions a presidency largely, if not completely, unchecked by Congress or the courts. It advocates for the use of executive orders to circumvent legislative roadblocks, unilaterally enacting sweeping policy changes without the need for debate or compromise. This concentration of power in the hands of one person, unchecked and unbalanced, is antithetical to the very principles of democratic governance. The judiciary, meant to be a check on executive overreach, is instead co-opted into a tool for legitimizing the dismantling of democratic norms. The plan calls for packing the courts with judges who share the project's ideological bent, ensuring favorable rulings on key issues. This is not about upholding the law, it's about using the courts to provide a veneer of legality to an inherently undemocratic power grab. The mandate for leadership also recognizes the importance of controlling the narrative. It calls for a concerted effort to discredit and dismantle all independent media, painting any critical coverage as fake news propagated by a hostile deep state. This attack on the free press, a cornerstone of any functioning democracy, is intended to create an information vacuum that can be filled with propaganda and disinformation that propels its agenda. A Global Chill Project 2025's Threat to Climate Action and International Order. The ramifications of Project 2025 extend far beyond the borders of the United States, sending shockwaves through the very foundation of global climate action and international cooperation. The mandate for leadership explicitly calls for the dismantling of environmental regulations, painting them as impediments to economic growth. This disdain for environmental protection is not merely a domestic concern. It has profound and dangerous implications for the entire planet. The United States, now under the grip of Project 2025, will become a climate pariah, already seen with the abandoning of its commitments to international agreements like the Paris Climate Accord. This abdication of this responsibility by the world's second largest emitter will have devastating consequences. undermining global efforts to avert climate catastrophe and emboldening other nations to follow suit. The damage, however, goes beyond climate change. Project 2025's inward-looking nationalist stance threatens to unravel the very fabric of international cooperation. Alliances forged over decades, built on shared values of democracy and human rights, are now crumbling under the weight of distrust and animosity projected by the current administration. The world, facing a multitude of complex and interconnected challenges, finds itself increasingly fractured and unable to mount a coordinated response. The rise of Project 2025 signals a dangerous shift in the global balance of power. It emboldens authoritarian regimes and undermines democratic movements worldwide. The message has become clear: might makes right, and the pursuits of national self-interests will now trump any commitment to international laws. Beyond American borders, let's talk about why the world should worry. While Project 2025 may have been conceived in the halls of power in Washington, its tendrils reach far beyond American shores. This is not simply an internal American affair. It is a global threat, one that demands the attention and concern of every nation that values its democracy, human rights, and a livable planet. The interconnected nature of our world means that the erosion of democratic norms in one nation inevitably has ripple effects elsewhere. The potential for Project 2025 to embolden authoritarian leaders across the globe is deeply troubling. The success of this project in the United States, a nation long held up as a beacon of democracy, sends a chilling message. If the checks and balances of democracy are removed and authoritarianism becomes acceptable, fascism is on the march. This could have a domino effect, emboldening autocratic leaders to crack down on dissent, erode democratic institutions, and consolidate power. The economic ramifications of Project 2025 are also cause for global concern. The plan's embrace of protectionist trade policies and its disdain for international cooperation threaten to upend the global economic order. We have already seen trade wars alongside an emerging economic instability and the widening of the gap between the rich and the poor, both within and between nations. The world is watching with a mixture of trepidation and downright disbelief. The hope is that the resilience of democratic institutions, along with the vigilance of citizens, will be enough to prevent this dangerous project from coming to full fruition. The stakes are simply too high for our complacency or inaction. The urgency of now, a call to awareness and action. The threat posed by Project 2025 is not a distant or abstract concern. It is now a clear and present danger that demands our immediate attention. We are at a crossroads, a pivotal moment in history where the choices we make will have profound and lasting consequences. Silence is not an option. Complacency is not a strategy. The time for awareness and action is now. The first step in combating Project 2025 is to understand the scope and the gravity of the threat. We must educate ourselves and others about the details of the plan, the individuals and organizations behind it, and the tactics they are using to advance their agenda. Knowledge is power, and in this case, knowledge is essential for effective resistance. We must also be vigilant in defending the institutions and norms that underpin a functioning democracy. This means holding elected officials accountable, demanding transparency and accountability from government, and supporting a free and independent press. It also means being wary of attempts to sow division and discord, recognizing that a united front is essential in the face of such a formidable foe. The fight against Project 2025 is not just about preserving democracy in the United States. It's about defending the very idea of a just and equitable world. It's about ensuring that the voices of the many are not drowned out by the powerful few, that the principles of human rights and dignity are upheld, and that future generations inherit a planet where they can not only survive but thrive. Defending our global future, strategies for resistance and resilience. The road ahead will be challenging, but it is not insurmountable. The fight against Project 2025 requires a sustained and multi-pronged approach, one that combines legal challenges, grassroots organizing, and international solidarity. It will demand courage, creativity, and an unwavering belief in the power of collective action to create a better world. Legal challenges will be crucial in slowing down and disrupting the implementation of Project 2025. We have already seen some success as they try to take over and dismantle the US federal government. Civil society organizations, legal scholars, and human rights lawyers must be more prepared than ever, prepared to challenge the legality of executive orders, expose conflicts of interest, and hold those in power accountable for abuses of power. The courts, despite attempts to stack them with ideologically aligned judges, remain a vital line of defense against authoritarian overreach. Grassroots organizing will be essential in building a broad-based movement capable of resisting the agenda of Project 2025. This means mobilizing communities, building coalitions across ideological divides, and engaging in acts of civil disobedience when necessary. The power of protest, of people coming together to make their voices heard, should never be underestimated. International solidarity will be crucial in isolating the architects of Project 2025 and demonstrating the global rejection of their authoritarian agenda. Human rights organizations, pro democracy activists, and concerned citizens around the world must stand in solidarity with those resisting this dangerous project. The message must be clear. The world is watching, and the assault on democracy in one nation is an assault on democracy everywhere. Viva la résistance!